Well, it's story time, kids. And I forgot to drag my water over so that it's close by. Because every time I start a video, I also start coughing. I think it's the airflow intake. I don't know. Maybe it's the dust. There's so many excuses I could totally come up with. But the real reason is I don't know why I keep coughing whenever I start talking to you guys. So I got this letter. I printed it out from Sully B. It is Sully B's. It's Sully B's military story. So thank you, Sully. I'm gonna share your story. Sully B apparently graduated from Air Force basic training back in 2000. I think he said 6, which is a little bit after me. My graduation was in 2004. So a lot of things years ago, not that long ago, but okay. Pretty good story. I already read it. I was cracking up. Hope you guys like it. So, Dear Queen, wanted to share a quick military story about when I was in basic training. We had just graduated BMT. BMT is an acronym for Basic Military Training. It's in Lackland Air Force Base. And those of us that didn't have family, in parentheses, or family that couldn't make it, that was common. There were a lot of kids that flew in from New York, Alaska, all over the United States to come to basic training. And in order to attend basic training, you would have to fly down to Lackland Air Force Base, get a hotel. It wasn't something that was very easy for everybody to do. Said, or family that couldn't make it decided to meet up together at the parade field and go eat together at the food court. So Lackland Air Force Base is just like any other community set Air Force base. There is this giant field, though, specifically made for hundreds. Even I think you could fit like up to 10 flights or 20 flights or something. Each flight having 40 to 50 recruits. And if they all graduate at the same time, they all march around this whole field and do a ceremonial salute and turn and all this stuff. And then they line up on the field. There's like words said. It's a ceremony. Families all sit in the bleachers on one side of the field. Picture like a football field, only bigger. And then there's model jets that are kind of, there's a bomber, there's a few fighter jets, and they're on display. So it's a beautiful scene. If you're the one marching around the field in the middle of July of San Angelo, Texas, it's not very comfortable, but you do it anyway. So there are some recruits that end up kind of on their own, and you tend to congregate with the people that you graduated with, and you celebrate together. And it wasn't uncommon to see them go hang out at the food court, because all for the last 9 weeks you're eating like the healthy food that they make you eat and provide. So nothing sounds better than a nice fat Whopper, right? Just be careful for those of you that haven't gone through basic training. The TIs know that you're eating the crap the day before, and they will run the hell out of you the next morning. So lay off too much food, okay? All right, so this is what he's talking about. He's saying decided to meet up at the parade field and go eat together at the food court. So they kind of marched over there on their own. If you remember, oh, I do. If you remember, the food court had picnic style tables like you see at some malls. So it's like a cafeteria size, you know. After we ate, we forgot that a TI could be around the corner at any minute, at any time. We got real comfortable. He underlines real. We got real comfortable. And three of us were sitting on the tabletops with feet on the seats, and about 7 others on the opposite tables with boots up on the other seats, all chit-chatting and laughing. Let me pause for a second and just explain what a TI is. It's a training instructor. Those are your drill instructors in other branches, but the Air Force has a little bit of different terminology. Okay? Their whole job, they're not even mean people, but their job is to act mean and instill stress on the recruits, because it's a mental training as much as it is physical. So half the time you see them standing there yelling stuff and whatever, it's all part of the training. It's to acclimate you to that stress and focus, help your focus. So not getting into the psychological part of it, just so you understand, on the very last week of our graduation, we were pulled aside in a classroom with our TIs, our drill instructors, and they came down off of the act. They were acting basically and said, listen, we're real people too. We worked daily jobs before this. We were recruited into helping to train you guys, but we're not like this all the time. We don't yell at people. We aren't angry all the time. We just act like it when you're around because that's part of your training. Okay? Then they talked to us and said, when your families show up, you might want to talk to them and let them know that when we interact with you, we are not here to, we're still training. So don't let family get upset because we're yelling at little Bobby Jr., you know, and most of us did tell our families, you know, be careful because they come around the corner and they start yelling. I go to attention, you say nothing, let them yell, then they go away, basically. So Sully, I'm sure, forgot about all that. So they're all sitting comfortably on the tables. You don't sit on the tabletop. I don't know what you were thinking, Sully, but that's okay. 3 of them sitting on the tabletop with their feet on the seats, and about 7 others on the opposite tables with boots up on the seats, all chit-chatting and laughing. Like a thunderous voice of God, an angry voice came out of nowhere, startling every soul in the food court to a dead silence. Now, I love the way Sully writes this. It just describes the situation wonderfully. In quotes, he writes, all capital letters. Are you ready? Get your juicy cracks off the horizontal goddamn platform of food consumption. Get your juicy crack off the table. All 10 of us were immediately at attention with our hearts in our throats and shit in our pants. I still think this is hilarious. The biggest TI I'd ever seen was suddenly in our faces screaming. After a good reaming, he told us to leave and find somewhere else more appropriate to lounge. Sometimes you just stand there and take it, and it'll be over before you know it, okay? And on our way out, we noticed that other families who were dining with other graduates like us were all sitting quietly looking at their graduates who were all standing at attention still all over the food court. So this TI comes in screaming, and it didn't matter who you were or who you're sitting with, you're all at attention. Finish the short story. All standing at attention still, waiting for this TI to leave. Before we were out of earshot, we heard the TI announce, in parentheses, he must have noticed them all waiting. And in quotes, he says, sit your asses down and smile at your frickin' families. That is pretty much exactly what my TIs were like. Get out there, run, and act like you enjoy it. And we followed orders. We actually had, this is my own story real quick. While we were doing a 2-mile run one morning, I think it was a Labor Day run, our TI, we're sitting there running, and we're going around circles on this track. It's a basic football field track. We're going around. And about the second time around, my TI said something to a group of us huddled together running. She said, y'all look miserable, freaking smile. And we're running, just trying to get some air. And we're like, trying to smile while we're running. That's just the sort of thing you have to deal with when you're in the military. And especially when you're in basic training and they say the craziest things off the wall. I think the key is try not to laugh too hard. It's just one of those things you end up doing. So thank you, Sully, for the laugh. That was an awesome story. I hope your juicy crack has not been on any other tables since then, because that is kind of gross. I mean, people have to eat on that, right? Right? Anyways, thank you, Sully. It was a lot of fun. So if anybody else has a military story, I'm glad to read it. Just send it on over. Make sure it's not too graphic or inappropriate, but either way, if it's funny, I'm with you on it. And I'll come up with a couple more of my own. I have been thinking of more stories, and that was a good one. Thanks, Sully. You guys take care. Bye.